For Township Borough Council regular session meeting to order, and as you just heard, very loudly, this is being recorded via Zoom. Please write by the invitation by the mayor. As we gather here today as members and leaders of this community, we pray that we are ever mindful of opportunities to render our service to our fellow citizens. May we stay focused on the objectives we have for this community, and let us continue to strive to make Sowerton, our small corner of the world, a better place to live and work. Amen. Amen. Please remain standing for pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the which stands one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Thank you. Well, not sure. You need to know that the attendance for like
Councilor Walbach is talking with prior and your counselor Gabriel.
Thank you very much. And we'll move forward to the consent agenda. Council, now we are combining this into one gigantic motion. And a motion for the bills and the minutes.
Mr. President, make a motion to approve the minutes for September 3rd, regular council meeting minutes, and the September 16th work session minutes, as well as approve the bills for the month of October and the reoccurring bills for November 2024.
I'll second.
Okay, I have motions by Councilor Shally and Munden for approval of the minutes and the bill as stated. Are there any necessary amendments to the minute? Hearing none, all in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Consider that passes. And we'll move forward to the correspondence. I don't see Jessica.
No.
Okay, we'll move forward. Penny's not here either. All right, then we just have one special presentation tonight by Kristen Heckler. Why don't you come on up to the mic and introduce yourself?
I'm also quite short. Regardless, I would have had to move it. Hello, my name's Kristen Heckler. I'm the Managing and Associate Artistic Director at Montgomery Theater, right here on Main Street in Souderton. My purpose for coming today is to make sure everyone's aware of the services we provide, also of our specific arrangement with the borough with regards to our building, and also to introduce me as I become a more prominent member of Montgomery Theater's presentation to the public. Firstly, thank you everyone for your service to the community. It's obvious, I just was living in New York for 10 years. It's obvious upon coming back that you all have worked so hard to make it an amazing place to live and thrive. And it's really great to be developing an arts organization here in a place where everyone's excited to live, excited to have things within walking distance. So thank you for your service to Souderton. The theater. So if you haven't been before, we have two stages. So our main stage is primarily programming for adults, though sometimes our shows are appropriate for younger audiences as well. For example, next we have Driving Miss Daisy. It's appropriate for basically all ages. We do 5 productions a year that we fully produce top to bottom, and then one co-production each summer. Right? One co-production each summer. All of our performances on the main stage are professional, so something that sets us apart from other theaters that are close by is that it's everyone's careers. Our most similar theater is Act 2 in Ambler, and then much smaller version, Walnut Street in Philadelphia, is also a professional theater in the sense that we are. We do predominantly produce plays, but usually 1 or 2 musicals a year as well, which everyone always loves a musical. On the project stage, we have a variety of different offerings. We first started on the project stage 30 years ago, and when we transitioned to taking over the whole building with the support of the borough, we transformed that into the project stage as we moved onto the main stage, which is on the ground floor, the entrance from Main Street. We recently renovated over the summer the project stage to freshen it and also make sure that it's up to the standard of professionalism that the main stage holds. We primarily house our education programs there. We have two tiers of our education programs. One is classes that take place in the winter and then in the summer as a summer camp. We also have two productions each year that are performed by young actors intended for young audiences. We also on the project stage have comedy nights. We had 4 this year, probably continue about that many next year. They're a huge success, usually very nearly sell out. So I think everybody's definitely excited to have local comedy. I also, an initiative that I brought with me as a result of my background is a new projects series where we develop one new production each year. So typically on the main stage, everything's had a production history before, whether or not it's been on Broadway or off Broadway, it may have had a lot of productions in other theaters such as ours across the country. So this new project series is to develop a new show to become a part of the theater community and be able to be produced and have a future after its production with us. So that's sort of a broad overview of what Montgomery Theater has to offer. Tell you a little bit about me. I grew up just down the road in Sellersville. I went to Penridge, graduated from Penridge. I left for college. I attended Duke University and came. And knew I wanted to work in theater, and my dad said, "Well, why don't we meet up with Tom and ask him what you should do?" And his favorite anecdote from that outing is he said, "Well, what would you want to do in the theater?" And I said, "Well, I would want your job." Um, loves to tell that story. That was intended to be funny. Uh, so at the time, Hope, his co-founder and wife, was stepping back from her duties, and there was an opening as box office manager. So I was hired as box office manager. I worked there for 3 years. I left and moved to New York. As I had referenced, I got my master's in theater directing and also freelanced and worked in a lot of venues in the city. Um, when the previous managing director had to move on due to life circumstances, nothing to do with the theater, they reached out to me and said, "Would you want to come back?" Also, with the intention of things coming full circle and me eventually taking on Tom's job as artistic director when he's ready to retire. So right now, my role includes a lot of development and marketing and operations and finance. When I transition, I will be leading our artistic programming. Right now, Tom and I do that in combination. As we prepare, we'll have overlapped for a couple years by the time the transition happens. Here's hope. Um, by the time the transition happens. So yeah, that's kind of me. I'm Montgomery Theater. This is Hope the Frame, our co-founder. Games tonight. Oh, there is hope. We won yesterday. I'm back here a little bit. Um, this person, so I like when we're winning big things, but generally I don't pay attention. Um, so the other thing that I was prepared to let everybody know about today is the terms of our lease agreement. So it did start originally in 2002 when we took over the whole building. The borough agreed that we would take over the building with a lease to purchase agreement. As it has functioned over time, there's also been a line of credit. So there's a $60,000 a year, or not a year, $60,000 line of credit that we use to add on to the lease for capital improvements. And then we pay that off gradually over time. So the last time we amended the lease was in November of 2018. And it essentially, the terms of it say that it will continue through 2020, thereafter, year to year. So it is on a year to year basis at this point. Any of us have 6 months. We wanted to change that. We do not. Hopefully you do not either. Essentially we pay rent $6,000 a year, and then we use the line of credit to add onto the lease when big things come up, like HVAC improvements, anything related to the building, mechanical or plumbing. In that lease agreement, there is also an option to purchase if we ever wanted to exercise that. And currently we have just a little bit over $16,000 remaining on the lease. So that's kind of the nitty gritty of it, but it obviously is an unusual arrangement. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of that and where the lease stands currently. The only other thing that I wanted to bring to your attention today is that the parking lot that's just behind our building kind of has two areas to it that are in need of attention. So just right behind us, we've got like 10 or so spots that really had a number done on them by the snow last year. So it's like a big pothole there. And that would just be nice to get a patch we've talked about, but also there's maybe a consideration of waiting to work on that until the bigger lot is addressed. And without being too inflammatory, we do have a lot of people that discuss about it because our patrons primarily park there, and what's up with the parking lot and what's going on with the parking lot. And even comedian that jokes about its state. And I know that Keystone Opportunity Center had a lot of volunteers come out to try to clean up the like weeds and overgrowth, and we've also cleaned up our area, which that's fine. I'm happy to clean up our area. But the parking lot itself is too big for us to take on. Our staff is 2 full-time staff members, and then we only have like 5 additional part-time staff members. So basically just plea to start to work on that, but also lend my support. And I'm happy to, if there's anything you can do to help. My dad works in real estate, and I had asked him, like, could I, and I'm gonna maybe know my dad, well, you do. My dad's Clay Heckler, but I'm me. If you don't like Clay Heckler. But anyway, I called him to say, is there anything like could I help? And he said that it has to go to public bid, but I'm just want you to know that I am happy to support the project if there's anything that I am able to legally do, that it's something that we would really appreciate your attention in. And thank you so much for hearing from us today. And does anybody have questions, I guess?
Questions from council?
No, but I really enjoyed that.
Hopefully that's okay.
It's worth noting, like, the relationship that you described really doesn't exist anywhere else. And that's really the creativity of our leadership and the council long before any of us were here. So that's pretty cool. And the fact that it's been working for 30 years is pretty impressive. And it's also pretty impressive for your knowledge, council, that I am technically, although very inactively, a board member of the theater. So I know that there was some worry about what happens to the theater when Tom retires after he founded and Hope founded the theater. So the fact that Kristen came back to her hometown with a incredible professional background in this is like finding a needle in a haystack. So we're lucky to have you back. But that's how this relationship is going to continue for another 30 years.
It's not going anywhere. Hope's back on staff too, so that's exciting. After I took over from her, I put that in my bio. But yes, and I do thank you. And with your generosity, it's a huge part of how we're able to sustain, especially coming from New York, where space is such a premium. It's so expensive to even rent like a tiny little rehearsal hall. I feel so grateful for the borough's support, and that when we have some sort of giant expense that feels insurmountable for us to come into a year, that you're willing to lend a hand with, that is all something that makes the relationship special and makes it possible for us to have such a long and successful track record.
Kristen, a comment or two, and then I have a question. So we hear you, the need for the patching. I saw Steve taking some notes. Sarah and I, the manager, just recently spoke about the parking lot in general, and our strategy was always going to be a holistic reconstruction of the entire parking lot, which we haven't been able to achieve and go out for bid yet, nor frankly afford. However, I think we could do, some safe patching down there. We'll take it under advisement and try to get something to happen. Yeah, and we all agree that the theater is just a real gem in our community. What do you see as, do you foresee even professionalizing more the direction you've been going? What do you see as your future?
What improvement, or is the question, what improvements do you see me trying to make to the theater. Yeah, I'm happy to speak to that. First, I do want to say that I meant to acknowledge, I just didn't write it in my notes, that I know you guys have been in a lot of transition and that parking lot has been back burner because you've had more important things going on with everyone here in council. So in terms of improvements for the theater, we actually did a full strategic plan, which Dan actively participated in. He likes to give himself cut himself down, but we're grateful for his board membership. And so anyway, the strategic plan is for the next couple of years to the cornerstones of it are to increase our community engagement, also increase the diversity of who we serve, and get more people into the seats, not necessarily more dollars, but more people. So a couple of ways that we're going to do that. I want to increase events, both that we attend and that we host. So we've been a more active part of Third Fridays. We were going to go to Art Jam, of course. Next year, Dan and I are already brainstorming ways to get us a little bit more involved in concert Sundays. And also getting involved in other local boroughs to expand our reach a little bit to bring people from other boroughs to Souderton, because Souderton's a great place to be. So attending events, but also hosting them. So having special, this, for example, on opening night right now, we have a collaboration with Round Guys from Lansdale. We didn't used to have our own brewery, so we had to go to Lansdale for a brewery. Round Guys, and we have brew debut is opening night. I'd like to have another night at least such as that for each production that's going to have something special to it. It might even be like an affinity night for maybe certain age brackets or certain interest groups, things like that. So variety of events we have in mind. I also, wasn't in my original bullet points, but we do have a rehearsal hall on the third floor that is a great meeting space. So I would like to, and part of the point of the renovating of the project stage is to just be a little bit more available for other organizations or small groups to have a space to congregate or work or whatever it is they're going to do. We actually have a concert we're hosting, or we're doing a share with a guy that runs a record label right out of Souderton, having a concert. So branching out a little bit in terms of what sort of arts are presented at the theater. And then in terms of getting more people in, I've been trying to create slowly over time equitable ticket program. I've been talking to Brandon at Keystone Opportunity Center, connecting with our other nonprofits, Indian Creek, Boys and Girls Club, about how we can, if the ticket prices are what's keeping people from attending, how can we make sure that affordable tickets are getting to the people that need them? And in terms of diversity, making sure that what we present and what our programming looks like applies to everyone that's a member of our community. We've got a bilingual adaptation of Don Quixote coming up, and then we're following it up with our new project series next year is also a bilingual adaptation, but it'll be a music, not adaptation, a bilingual musical, brand new. So to try to engage our Hispanic community a little bit, it's quite large here in Souderton. So I wanted to make sure that we're providing arts opportunities for them. We've also expanded and are continuing to expand our accessibility offerings, including getting assisted listening devices and then opening up to open captioning. It's called open captioning when you're in the room with everyone. I guess it's closed captioning when you're home in the TV, but open captioning is for theaters and movies. So open captioning and also audio description, which would be for people who are vision impaired. These are like some of the things that are on my radar.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else? Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can, but do not have to say for the rest.
Okay, we'll move to administrative reports, Mr. Mayor.
All right, sorry, I'm doing a lot of talking tonight. I just want to first thank several members of council and the manager who came out to the Rotary Club auction last week, which raised upwards of $20,000, primarily towards the. So that was a big win, and that goes a long way to have the borough play an active. A Keystone Opportunity Center banquet this Thursday. I know some people are attending that, but I think tickets are still available. And since Jess is not here, I'll say that our last third Friday in October, which we advertised the street was closed for, and it is. Okay, great. And then mark your calendars for, the tree lighting, which is in the Univest Plaza on December 6th. And the holiday parade, which is the following day, the first Saturday, December 7th. And then there's also some fire company events happening, which this Sunday is Cash Bingo. I believe I'm calling Cash Bingo. Should come depending on what you feel about that. And then the penny auction is we're getting into our busy time for all these times. And that's my report.
Thank you, sir. Chief? Good evening. I had sent a report to the borough manager, however, it had some changes as of today, so I'm asking for drawn, but for good reasons. I have to update some information for you, but I'll give you a couple of quick stats for the audience. We handled 830 calls last month, which is 28 a day, 218 traffic stops. We had 10 arrests, 11 vehicle crashes, luckily only one injury. We assisted other agencies 60 times. Now on to the good news. It took a couple months, but we finally got all of our stuff with bus patrol fixed. So I can tell you that we issued 4 citations out of 5 today. We've issued 44 on the year so far to people going past school buses. 44 so far.
September?
Since January, they're still rebuilding the database to get us back in. Now we've had a lot more violations come over, but for some we couldn't prosecute because of various technical reasons or legal technicalities, but we have 44 that were fleeing. So they'll all be getting cited. And we're getting more videos every day, so that's luckily been fixed for us. Very happy about that. As far as the school zone on Broad Street, our borough engineers got the paperwork that they needed to send to the 2 schools for their verification. I was given that paperwork. I got EMC to sign it today. I dropped it off at the charter school for them to sign. I'll pick it up tomorrow. So that'll be going back to our engineers to go back to PennDOT. So that project is still moving ahead, which is fantastic. PennDOT did finish their speed study on East Broad Street. If you notice the rumble strips, they were not ours, they were PennDOT's. I'm waiting to get the data back from them. We still haven't heard a word yet, but that might take a little bit. And I think that's about it. The rest will go into we've been attempting to assist. We have at least 2, possibly 3 homeless people who've been visiting the borough. We're doing what we can to assist them. We can't force anything upon anybody, but we are trying to direct them when we're notified about it. Officer Hagee has 1 more month of field training. He'll be done. And Officer Gray, it's now her 3rd month. She finishes the first week of December, and is still progressing nicely. Now my full report at the next meeting.
Thank you. Questions for Chief? Any additional updates on the car thefts that happened around the borough and surrounding neighborhoods?
Other than what I put on our Facebook page, no, not yet. I can tell you that we have sent out evidence to be processed by the Pennsylvania State Police Lab. It's going to be whenever they get back.
Gotcha. Okay.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, Mr. Cole.
Mr. President, still working on my footwork report. I'll have that for work session meeting. But I'll touch some of the bigger things we've been working on. So we finally got over to the pool, so we're pretty much ready to. We have the upper pool is winterized. Just got to get the carpet when we get some more water in there, which we're doing right now. And we have the lower pool to winterize, which is a lot quicker than upper pool. We were on Fairview Avenue. We have some sewer main issues there, so we are addressing one area, manhole to manhole, and it's in the area of the 3 new rooms that are going in there. So we did the 2 homes. We have laterals to that. We replaced about 180 feet of sewer main pipe. We got maybe 100 to go to the next house, whenever that house starts. That'll be our next project. We have to finish Garfield first, so we won't get too far on that. We'll just go manhole to manhole and come back after we're done with Garfield. You've been working on the rain gardens mostly last week. We have the one pretty much dug out the grade. A little bit to do in one corner, but, I think we're starting back up there again on Wednesday. And then that we'll be putting the draining system in on the one rain garden that is gonna be where the water's gonna all go and seep out. The first pond is just bringing the parking lot and the playground area and all that swell pipe together and going into that pond, and it works its way into the bigger pond that or slow release. Spot collection, we already started some of that already, which is way early. But type of machines we have, we can just fold them up and go out to it. So we will be doing some more spot collection. We actually are starting spot collection usually near the end of October. I don't know if we got on. Yeah, so it should be on the newsletter or our website. So that'll start probably not this week or next week, but probably the following week. Start right now. That's about it. Any questions?
Okay, Steve? All right. Thank you, sir. We'll move to the solicitor.
Yes, thank you. I have submitted my solicitor's report this evening. Items 4, 5, and 7 are on the business part of the agenda, so for my comments, description until then, but item 1, I'd like to point out that I did complete a thorough, I guess it's update to the, Borough fee schedule, and I sent that over to Sarah to take a look at it. It has mostly to do with the Saldo fees that are in place now and some adjustments to those. So that's my report. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Tremblay? Thank you, sir. Sarah, last but not least.
First, I want to introduce Stephanie Jameson as our new receptionist. So Stephanie's on the back. Hi. She began us last Monday to serve as our receptionist, so she'll be in the front. She comes with a lot of experience, not just in like computer and IT, so that's very helpful, but just customer service in general. So she's a resident of Atherton. We're very lucky to have her, and she's fitting into the office very nicely. And with her addition was the promotion of Laura Wiggins, who's sitting right here. So she's moved into our permit clerk position. So she served in that capacity for many years and then left us, and now so we're playing musical cubicles in the office, but I think we're finally settled. I think we're all home. But I'm very excited to have Stephanie and very excited to have Laura in that new spot. Just a few other items.
Sarah, hang on one second.
Yeah.
So Stephanie, I met you the first time on Friday, and I'm sitting here since you walked in going, who's that? But join me in with a round of applause, welcome me, Stephanie, and congratulate Laura.
Just a few other things. We took delivery last week of the new truck for our wastewater department. That was ordered several months ago. Laura and I took it for a spin. The lights were great. It's very nice. Vacation, so we got to bring it in for us. Yeah. Steve reported about the rain gardens being installed. We're working in collaboration with PK. We're gonna get those done. Our guys are doing a great job getting that done. I had a meeting last week with the new software company. So we, as you guys know, are transitioning to a more robust accounting and utility software to sell. We're still on track to go live in January with them, and we'll be transitioning off of Freedom. They are in the process right now of moving our utility accounts over, which is really exciting because that's like the big piece of work. So that stuff will be ready first, and then we'll work on the code enforcement and that stuff later. But all of that will be connected and ready to go. We also signed an agreement with a new payment processing company. So when we go live with Cancel, we'll go live with this new company, but they're offering paperless billing, so they'll integrate with Cancel, and people will be able to elect paperless billing They'll be able to do auto payments,
What was that?
auto pay, right? They'll also be able to create online accounts where they can go in and view their bills, their prior bills. And then they'll be able to set up online payments. So we'll be able to accept credit cards, but also ACH payments. There is a small fee for the ACH, is a fraction of what you would pay for the credit card. So they're also we're going to work with them to integrate with RefDesk, because right now we're using two separate payment processors, and we use one at the pool and a different one in the office. So our hope is to combine them all, for a little bit easier reconciliation for me specifically in selfish. But it's going really well. We're moving kind of full steam ahead, and it seems like we're gonna get live like right in the nick of time, because our current software is phasing out. They're trying to migrate it to the new provider, and with that, our support for our current is declining. So it seems like we got in right at the right time. So we did have a really productive first budget meeting last Monday. Things are moving ahead with that. We have a budget finance meeting this week as well, but just for members of the public that are here, our budget focus this year continues to be cost savings, which was big last year. We are implementing some long-term planning. This year we did a 5-year capital plan with the hopes of expanding that to 10 years in the future. And then we're working towards a more detailed analysis and reporting of what our revenues and expenses are, expanding our line items within our budget to kind of help us see a little bit more detail of that. And then running calculations and numbers and different things, nerdy things that I enjoy, but that maybe others wouldn't. But just getting kind of down into the weeds on some of the numbers and figures that we're presenting. And then we have some developments moving forward at County, and Starbucks is finally going in, which is very exciting. And we have a couple more plans that are coming forward to planning commission. The last thing I have is October the 17th here at the building. We're having a Ready Set Medicare class with a Medicare specialist. So it's a free educational event designed to help steer people towards different Medicare options. There's no cost, there's no pressure. It's simply informative to help people navigate that. It's a complicated system. So his name is Stephen Perlman, and he'll be here. You can find out more information online, or you can call into the office and we can help you register online as well. You don't have to register if you just want to come, but it will help us just to have an idea of how many to prepare for.
What time is that?
6:30 to 8 on October the 17th, Thursday. And it'll be most likely in this room unless it's a smaller group and we can do it back. And that's all I have.
Questions for Sarah?
Thank you.
I'll come back to you on the business. Yeah, thank you. Okay, we'll move to committee reports then. I just have one update from the executive committee, which is a reminder on the 28th of October, we'll have another special budgetary session in the conference room in the back, and we'll likewise reserve the Monday before Thanksgiving. I don't think we're gonna need it, given our progress with the budget committee, but keep that one in on the calendars as well. Okay, any other committee reports?
Finance committee meeting on Wednesday.
Oh, yes, Sarah just said that. Okay.
Okay.
All right, then we'll close that, and I will now at 7:37 open up for public comment. If you are a resident of the borough, a property owner, or business owner, I'd invite you to the podium, just state your name and address, and we'd love to hear from you tonight.
Hi, everybody. I'm Matt Heiser. I live at 20 North School Lane. I had talked to Matt before and you guys in the past about the speeding on the road. I know last time I was talked to, they were going to put up a speed sign, one of those digital ones. But they put it on South School Lane, right outside of the school. And there's only a block that you can go before you have a stop sign or a stoplight. So there's not really a spot there. I'm not saying don't put it there because there's a school there. But the speeding occurs when they're going on to North School Lane off of Broad and going down the hill and back up. Because there's no stop sign at the bottom of the hill or until you get to Reliance Road. So I was just here just to wonder if we could move that sign to North School Lane instead of South School Lane. Because I think that would help with deterring all the speeding that happens every day.
Chief, quick question, that's it's temporary sign anyway, right? Correct, the one that's in our parking lot that we're waiting to get going tongue on, just
Yeah.
when you go on the street.
Okay. All right. Do we know?
I know it's fine. Fine, yeah, that's.
No, that's fine.
Maneuverability.
Okay. All right. That was everything.
Fresh come in.
All right. Thank you. That's everything.
Right, thanks.
All right. Thanks.
Anyone else? We gotta pick on you every week. You can get me back. All right, then, hearing nothing else, I close the public comment section and we'll move forward to the business of the evening. Would you like to make any introductions, you were done, or I'll just jump right into it?
I can, the first is, under business is the resignation of Councilor Walzak. So council this evening will accept his resignation, if they choose to, effective today. And then you have 30 days to fill that seat, before we would involve the. Yes, so, in speaking with, President Burke, we've determined that, in order to be efficient, individuals that would be interested in an appointment, you guys would need to make an appointment from Ward 1. They would need to submit letters of interest to myself, by October 16th at 5 p.m. Those can be either dropped off at the office or submitted via email if you have questions. You can also reach out to me directly. It would be our intention to interview any interested candidates at our advertised October 21st work session meeting. And then the successful candidate could be appointed at your November conference. Are there any questions about the process or?
No, in fact, let me go ahead and move to the motion and maybe you can either introduce or we'll have John introduce the hearing portion of today. So just a quick comment before I take a motion on Richard Walzak. So he lives on West Chestnut Street, not far from Councilor Danana. And he served us really well. He's had a lot going on, a couple of deaths in the family recently, so he's hung in there as long as he possibly could. But we'll definitely miss him. He had, we talked a lot with him over the last 3 or 4 months when he just felt like it was a little much for him. But he served us faithfully on both the finance committee. He was on a public safety committee there for a while. And probably one of the things I'll miss the most about Richard is his passion and his, very young at heart, always questioning like why we would do something. And one of the things that, when we sit up here, and a lot of you that come a little more regularly and see us do a lot of deliberation back in the conference room, a lot of the decisions we make aren't black and white, but we work really hard to try to achieve consensus. On a dissatisfying side, Richard said that he felt like he wasn't. He was always on the, let me say it this way, always on the losing side of the vote. And, and that's just, a lot of us have been there when you're passionate about something. But the one thing that he really did, for us more than anything is to make sure we thoroughly deliberated every issue at hand. And being that person that, he felt like he was adversarial, but I would offer up just the opposite. He was a person that challenged us to really make sure we were looking at the various options before we would just go ahead headstrong in one solution. So, yeah, I'll miss Richard, and he submitted his resignation with a request to be finished on September 30th, of course. This is our first opportunity to meet and, to consider that. So it's item 7A, and if you're so inclined, if I can have a motion to accept that resignation.
Mr. President, I make a motion to accept the resignation of Counselor Richard Walzak of Ward 1 to October 7th, 2024.
I'll second. Okay, I have motions by councilors Shelley and Littlefield, for the acceptance of the resignation of Councilor Richard Walzak of Ward 1 effective today, October 7th, 2024. Any comments, questions, or concerns? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of that, of approving that resignation, please say aye. Any opposed? Okay, Mr. Walzak, if you're listening, you are free of your duties. The next is a motion to advertise, and we can move to that. Do you want to talk about what we're advertising? Okay, so it's before the hearing though, John, it's just item 7B.
Okay, thank you. So it's a proposed ordinance 24-811-13, amendment to chapter 581, specifically -3 of your traffic ordinance. So from time to time, the borough gets requests or sua sponte, they impose certain traffic and parking restrictions on a temporary basis in the borough. Most of the time it comes up for handicap spots within the borough. The way the ordinance reads now, it's capped at 3 months. So there's probably some handicap spots out there that are beyond that 3 months. So this ordinance takes that restriction off it. It also recertifies or reapproves anything that's out there that's existing that you may have adopted within the last, year. So that's the background.
Is it just allowing it in perpetuity, or is there?
It has to be action by council to remove the traffic restriction.
Yeah, just to clarify, John, every single one would be stipulated in council's authorization for those, whatever the authorization. Okay,
That's correct. Yeah.
thank you. All right, then, this is simply a motion to advertise the draft ordinance. Council, may I have a motion?
Mr. President, I make a motion to authorize ordinance 24-811-13 for advertising.
Okay, motions by, don't fight over it, ladies, by councils Littlefield and Rogers for approval of ordinance 24-811-13, which would amend chapter 581 regarding temporary parking and traffic regulations. Any other questions or concerns on that one? All right, all in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? All right, so that's also unanimous. Now, we can move forward to the public hearing.
At this point, I'd like to open up, I'll just call it a joint hearing. There's 2 ordinances on the agenda. The first ordinance is ordinance 24-809-11. It's an amendment to Article 1, Chapter 581, establishing the school zone. And the second ordinance 24-810-12 is an amendment to your municipal waste collection and recycling ordinance in chapter, I believe it's 535. The first, by way of background, the first ordinance changes is for a school zone. There's a school zone on the books in the borough for the high school. And we're taking that out, okay, with this ordinance and putting one in for the charter school. There's another school zone that's not being touched in the ordinance as it's currently written. So that's the background of one. The first ordinance. The second ordinance is we were approached, or the borough was approached by the Northern Montgomery County Recycling Commission to update your current trash and recycling ordinance. And primarily for the reason of calculating how grants are distributed between yourself and the other participating municipalities, Hatfield, Franconia, and the like. The way they do these now is that it's based on population. The way they want to change it, and this is going out to every other municipality, is it's going to be calculated based on tonnage. So however, basically whatever your municipality uses, then that's how you're going to receive the grant money. The other item that is important to note is that it allows for an outside, I'll just call them the grant company, Howe Associates. They're pretty reputable, to file the grant applications and look for money for the borough and participate in municipalities through the commission. So those are the two major changes. And basically what they're doing is they're taking your ordinance and replacing it with some updated provisions, two of which I just outlined. I did go through it, compared it to the Mascaro trash contract, and made sure the timeframes, the trash contract and the ordinance linked up as far as pickup and times and days of the week and those types. So I have pre-marked for identification, proofs of publication for both ordinances at B1, and then B2 is the proof of filing with the library, the law library in Montgomery County. So with that said, I'd like to open it up for 4 questions, council questions if you have them. And then after that, the public, if there's any questions.
Certainly, and before we do that, I apologize, I should have taken the motion, open the hearing, so let me do that before, in case there's public comment. So please make a motion to open the hearing.
Mr. President, I make a motion to open the public hearing for ordinances 24-809-11 and 24-810-12.
A second.
Okay, motions by Council Shelley and London to open the public hearing for 24-809-11 and 24-810-12. All in favor, please aye. Okay, now we're back on course. And Council, are there any questions?
I'll incorporate everything I just said into the hearing.
Okay, so before we take the motion on the establishment of the school zone, are there any additional questions for Don on the background? So again, that primarily deleted the section 581.14, and it definitely added South Front Street between Noble and East Broad as an official school zone. And I think the others were there, but I'm not sure, just in case it was Ian Pratkamel, the charter school, and the street for Ian Pratkamel was on South School Lane. So any questions, council? All right, and now if you'd like to make public comment, this was previously advertised for the stipulated period. And if you have any questions or concerns on the ordinance that we're about to adopt, which would effectively add that section on Front Street as a school zone. Love to hear from you again. Just come up, state your name and address, and whatever comment you might have regarding this hearing. Hey, Mike.
My name is Michael Pipe. I live at 570 East Garfield Avenue, and I just wanted to comment on the change to the recycling. I would recommend that the council send out in the next trash recycling bill, perhaps even the sewer bill, notifying residents of this change, because previously you were getting a per capita amount from the recycling commission, if I understand things correctly. That's going to be the amount you get now is going to be based on those who actually participate in recycling. And I am a big believer in recycling. I remember last month a comment was made about stuff not really being recycled, and I believe that's true about plastics. But as far as aluminum cans, steel cans, glass, paper, all of that stuff has a verified recycling stream, and recycling is very effective there. So again, I would just recommend letting the residents know that what we get back from our recycling is now going to be based on those who actually participate and recycle. And it'll be interesting to see whether the amount goes up or down. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Anyone else?
Charlie Brown, 433 Central Avenue. And I just wanted to thank the council for hearing from the folks about the school zone and taking us seriously, as well as Chief Newhall. We really appreciate everybody finding quick solutions for that. And I just wanted some clarification so I could report back to other parents. The school zone going in on Front Street. What is that, just signage that says it's a school zone, or is there a decrease in the speed limit during certain hours, or what is the school zone?
We have purchased signage to go at the area stipulated within the ordinance. They'll be static, non-flashing signs that say school zone speed limit 15 miles per hour with the posted times as recommended by the school, 8 to 8:40 and 3 to 3:40.
Okay,
And then at either end, there'll be an end school zone sign.
great, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sorry. Anyone?
I do have a question. Okay, my landlord died this,
Priscilla, can you introduce yourself?
oh, I'm Priscilla Newman. I live on 17 half Franklin Avenue. Okay, my landlord died, okay, but he lived in Laconia Township, okay? And the problem is his daughter, she lives in Virginia. So what you're putting out the information, okay, we have at least 4 people that live still on that property. How do we get our information? About the recycling and everything. We do recycle, but he paid for it. But like I said, she doesn't live up here. Okay, so if things are changing, how do we get the information? We can't get it from her because she's not even up here.
So do you never get the information regarding trash or sewer or any other handwritten public?
Nope, just the recycling it, because if you change something, we'd like to know it. I mean, we try to do everything we can because we have the trash cans and stuff there. But when you go to change something, she's not even up here. Okay, I'm just telling you, okay? All right, like I said, you have like, what, 4 or 5 people that live on that property right now. Okay, so we need to know what's going on too. And if I got to come here to find out, that's fine. But, other than that, I don't get anything from her. Just letting you know that.
Thank you, Priscilla. Okay, anyone else? All right, then, that will close the public comment section on this hearing, and we'll move forward for the adoption motions. So let's do the school zone first.
Mr. President, I make a motion to adopt ordinance 24-809-11 as advertised. I'll second that.
Yeah, motions by Councilors Littlefield and Shawley for adoption of ordinance 24-809-11 for the establishment of the school zone as advertised. Any additional comments on that ordinance? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion C passes, and we'll move on to 810-12.
Mr. President, I make a motion to adopt ordinance 24-810-12 as advertised.
Oh, trying to read.
Second.
Stephanie, we got your name. Okay, I'm motioned by Councilors Minded and Paul for approval of ordinance 24-810-12. Any comments, questions, concerns? Okay, thank you for the public comments. So we have those entered in on the record, and some of those are definitely worthy of follow-up and communication. So we'll make sure we go through top of that. There is a database of residents that live in any property, but particularly for the rental database. And like a special note to give some additional, particularly your address, Priscilla. Any other comments, questions, or concerns on that one? All right, hearing none, all in favor of adoption of 24-810-12 as advertised, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes and I have a motion to close the hearing at this point.
Mr. President, make a motion to close the public hearing on ordinances 24-809 and 11 and 24-810 and 12.
I'll second.
Motion by Councilman Shelley M. London to close the public hearing and the adopted ordinances. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion, the public hearing is now closed, and is there any other business? Hearing none. People movement, close.
Mr. President, make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved. We are adjourned. Thank you very much. Thanks everyone for coming in. I appreciate it.
Most of the.
No, that's why.